have you made of him?
The drug cheat. Is that a fight you'd entertain?
No, definitely.
At no point, no.
Chris Eubank Jr. is one brave bastard. He got stuck in. He done what he had to do to survive. But it was just a complete shutout victory.
I thought it was a pretty average fight.
Anthony Joshua responded sharply after Conor Benn's victory over Chris Eubank Jr., offering a frank assessment of the fight and the circumstances surrounding it. Joshua acknowledged that Eubank Jr. competed with integrity, but stressed that Benn's win will inevitably be viewed through the lens of his controversial past, including previous failed drug tests. According to Joshua,
I think what they want to see is, blood, him get hurt and take him out.
Competition relies on fairness, and whenever a fighter enters the ring with questionable advantages, it casts doubt on the legitimacy of the result. He suggested that some spectators wanted to see Eubank Jr. hurt, but emphasized that the situation becomes complicated when the matchup itself
It's a money and fight, but it's tough. But I don't know what can be done.
May not be even. Joshua praised Eubank Jr.'s resilience and professionalism, noting that even highly skilled fighters can be hindered by factors beyond their control. He expressed admiration for athletes who step into the ring simply to earn a living, yet admitted that the sport is unforgiving and that
to win this return fight. But, however, the whole world knows now, he can't do the weight. He looked an absolute shell. He wasn't even a shell. He looked decimated going into that fight. Just looked like a bag of bones. The minute he did his ring walk, and once I saw him take his gown off, I realised
that it's difficult to know what can be done when circumstances are unbalanced. His comments reflected both respect and concern, implying that Benn's controversial background raises questions about whether his victory was earned solely through skill or supported by outside factors.
It was just too much for him, too energetic. He was too strong. Listen, he didn't have to make weight for this. And when you're a fighter, you don't have to make weight, and you've got all that energy, you've got that strength, you're buzzing.
Former world champion Duke McKenzie echoed Joshua's concerns, emphasizing how depleted Eubank Jr. appeared before the fight. McKenzie said Eubank Jr. looked physically and mentally drained, almost like a different fighter compared to previous bouts. Meanwhile, Benn...
Great, but he did a job on Eubank, and I shouldn't say I feel sorry for Eubank. I only feel sorry for him because I know the pain he's had to go through to make the weight. However, 10 million quid will make you feel a lot better the next day, but you want to be able to live to spend that money. The truth is, nobody knows the damage that's been done, physically or even psychologically, the long-term damage that would have been.
Entered the ring in peak condition, avoiding a weight cut entirely and benefiting from greater energy and stamina. McKenzie argued that although Benn won on the scorecards, the fight was not a fair representation of Eubank Jr.'s true capabilities. Even in defeat.
His jab was snatched, he didn't want to get it. Was Conor Benn any better than the first time? We don't even know, really. I can't take anything away from it. Conor Benn come out.
Eubank Jr. gave everything he had, demonstrating his heart and determination. Hamza Shiraz added further context, pointing to the physical disparities that shaped the fight. Benn's ability to avoid a weight cut gave him a major advantage in strength and endurance, allowing him to control the
fight didn't live up to the expectations. I'm extremely underwhelmed how they've pulled that off. Very, very, very poor fight. Disappointing. It came alive in the last round. That's it. The last round it happened, and Conor Benn got the win. Rightly so. But Eubanks tonight didn't turn up. Old overnight. His
reaction in ways that Eubank Jr., weakened by a grueling cut, struggled to counter. Shiraz highlighted that despite Eubank Jr.'s courage, the matchup was influenced heavily by physical factors from the outset. McKenzie elaborated further on the toll of weight cutting, noting that it affected Eubank Jr.'s body.
Really, won every round, dropped it, 10 more seconds, the fight's over. Different kind of fight, obviously, to the first fight, but needed to be. Needed to box smart and not use his emotions in there. I thought he boxed really well, busted him up to the body, and massive win for a welterweight to come up to middleweight and avenge that defeat and finally get a victory for the Benn family in the 4th episode.
In mind severely. He argued that the conditions were fundamentally unfair, with Eubank Jr. entering the ring at a significant disadvantage while Benn's energy reserves remained intact. This commentary not only praised Eubank Jr.'s perseverance, but also cast doubt on the legitimacy of Benn's win, framing the fight as one where context mattered as much as performance. Dave Allen raised additional questions about the supposed improvements in Benn's skill set. He noted that Benn's jab was inconsistent and argued that it was difficult to judge Benn's performance accurately given Eubank.
Yeah, that's sort of what everyone's saying. I think that Conor Benn boxed really well. I thought he was smart behind the jab. I thought his jabs were excellent tonight to head and to body. I thought his body shots were good. His movement, I mean, Conor Benn put a standout performance on. If you look at Chris, I thought he looked flat. I thought he was sort of stuck in the mud.
Jr.'s compromised state. While Benn secured the victory, Allen suggested it remains unclear whether it represents genuine technical progress or simply reflects Eubank Jr.'s weakened condition. According to Allen, physical readiness often determines outcomes as much as ability. Dominic Ingle shared similar views, critiquing the overall quality of the contest. He argued that Eubank Jr. never had the opportunity to showcase his full skill set because his energy and mobility were compromised from the start.
He just didn't do, he didn't snap his jab. I think he didn't want to pay that $500,000 fine. So he trained so hard, he lost weight. He didn't want to pay that fine.
Although Benn appeared dominant, Ingalls suggested that the results stemmed more from Eubank Jr.'s limitations on fight night than from Benn's superiority. The victory, while official, came under circumstances that reduced the competitive integrity of the bout. Eddie Hearn praised Benn's tactical execution and composure, but also acknowledged that the fight was markedly different from their first encounter. He noted that Benn performed well, yet emphasized that Eubank Jr.'s drained condition from weight management struggles shaped the...
No, really, I can't say anything away from it. Conor Benn come out, he had a bit
He was
of
more
success.
disciplined, wasn't he? He was more disciplined.
But it's easy to be disciplined with it. I'm disciplined on the back. I go in there and I fall to bits. Someone starts hitting me back. I can't, Conor Benn, take nothing away from him. He got the job done, well done, fair play. I can't take anything away from it. He lost to a faded Eubank, and then he just beat a shot to bits one. That don't make that...
The outcome. Benn deserved credit, Hearn said, but the broader context revealed an imbalance that left Eubank Jr. at a severe disadvantage. Adam Smith offered a similar analysis. He commended Benn's performance, but stressed that the fight was not an entirely fair comparison of the two men's abilities. Eubank Jr. appeared drained and lacked his usual dynamism, likely due to the demands of the weight cut and other preparation challenges. Smith argued that despite being physically outmatched, Eubank Jr. fought with...
He battered Chris Eubank Jr., wiped him out. He didn't render him unconscious, but he did flatten him, face first on the canvas in round 12. Dropped him twice in a 10-7 round. And on my scorecard, he won every round except for, you could argue round 3 went to Chris, but it was a shutout performance.
Courage, and his resilience deserved recognition. Benn's controversial history and the surrounding circumstances, Smith added, complicate the narrative of the victory. Derek Chisora focused on the mental and physical difficulties Eubank Jr. faced leading up to the fight. He pointed out that the pressure of making weight, along with the threat of financial penalties, left Eubank Jr. fatigued even before entering the ring. Benn, by contrast, looked sharp and energized. Chisora stressed that Eubank Jr. had done everything possible in preparation, but still entered under a significant disadvantage. His analysis reinforced the idea that the loss was not fully reflective of Eubank Jr.'s true ability. The outcome of the fight, many analysts agreed, reflected not...
...to the trilogy, so if it's close, they give it to Conor Benn. But listen, it wasn't close. My scorecard reads 120-108. Chris Eubank Jr. may have shared the third round. The Haymaker had that one shared, so I shared it as well with him. But the last round was a 10-7 round, 2 knockdowns. So it was a shutout performance from round 1.
Not just skill, but the challenging circumstances surrounding Chris Eubank Jr. Derek Chisora emphasized that Eubank Jr.'s work ethic and perseverance remained unquestionable despite the result. Dave Allen echoed this view, acknowledging Conor Benn's discipline while stressing that Eubank Jr. was far from his physical best. The draining effort required to make weight had left Eubank Jr. depleted, a factor that shaped the fight from the opening bell. Allen noted that gym discipline alone does not translate into dominance on fight night, especially when one athlete enters in a compromised state. Even so, Eubank Jr.'s courage and determination were unmistakable, as he committed to competing under extremely unfavorable conditions.
Right, and that, the performance tonight was unbelievable. It didn't matter if Eubank was better tonight, we were still winning the fight. But that first fight, when you go through a fight like that, it can change you forever. But it didn't change Conor Benn, it just...
Carl Froch analyzed Benn's apparent dominance, but insisted that the context was crucial. Exhausted from the weight cut, Eubank Jr. became increasingly vulnerable in the later rounds, which amplified Benn's advantage. Froch pointed out that although Benn capitalized on key moments, Eubank Jr.'s skill, resolve, and toughness were still evident throughout the bout. While the official outcome favored Benn, Froch argued that the real story was Eubank Jr.'s unwavering effort against overwhelming odds. Froch also examined the statistics behind the fight, which on paper suggested a near shutout for Benn. However, he emphasized that numbers alone failed to capture the full picture. Eubank Jr.
What I can get away with from the last fight, the pendulum, he's rinsed himself down that much, he's thinking he can do it again. As I said, anybody can get down to the weight, what you can do at the weight. Boxing's the worst place to be if you aren't going to put yourself at a disadvantage, because it's the only place you can legally get killed. And so what Chris did was, Chris depleted energy.
Severely weakened by his extreme weight cut, simply could not perform at his usual level. Although Benn scored knockdowns and won rounds convincingly, part of this superiority stemmed from Eubank Jr.'s depleted condition. Froch suggested that talk of a potential trilogy was misleading, as Eubank Jr. never had a fair opportunity to demonstrate his true capabilities. Though the victory belonged to Benn, the contest was heavily skewed, and Eubank Jr.'s technique and grit across 12 punishing rounds deserved recognition. Eddie Hearn reinforced these sentiments, praising Benn's composure while acknowledging the clear imbalance entering the fight. Hearn pointed out that Benn, unaffected by prior physical...
Regardless of the issues that I've been dealing with, I would be able to go in there and win. Use my boxing skills, use what you guys saw in that first fight to beat Conor.
Strain benefited from entering the ring fully energized, whereas Eubank Jr. carried the burden of an extreme weight cut and the exhaustion that came with it. Benn maintained control throughout, but Eubank Jr.'s courage, movement, and skill were tested under harsh circumstances. Hearn's compliments, though sincere, highlighted how significantly Benn benefited from these pre-existing advantages. Johnny Nelson further underscored the brutal reality of boxing. He noted that Eubank Jr., severely depleted, faced an opponent operating at full strength. Nelson emphasized that even minor physical disadvantages can become major obstacles in the ring, and Eubank Jr. was forced to contend with exactly that. While Benn's strategy and execution were effective, the imbalance in physical readiness shaped the contest from the start.